Bonjour, bienvenue. My name is Alexandra. I have been a proud member of the Viking family for the past 5 years. For those who don't know me yet, I work in the Viking brand and communications department in our California office. But originally, I am from France. Over the years, I have been fortunate to visit Bordeaux many times. So it is my privilege today to take you on a virtual journey to this beautiful region. Then my colleague Joost will be joining us to answer some of your questions. But let's first watch a short video that will bring this special itinerary to life. Allons-y!
Join us on a delightful journey through southwestern France for 8 relaxing days round trip from Bordeaux. Bordeaux is a graceful port filled with remarkable architecture and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. On this voyage, you'll experience the unique ambience of the region, its culture and tasty cuisine. And of course, a delicious exploration of lands that have produced France's most legendary wines. You'll sail along the Gironde River to Pauillac for a wine country tour of the Médoc region, home to some of the world's most beautiful châteaux and renowned wines. There are plenty of tasting opportunities along the way, including the area's famous Margaux. At Blaye, the beautiful 17th century citadel dominates the landscape and offers impressive views of the river. You'll visit Saint-Emilion, a lovely hillside town that dates back to prehistoric times and is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. From Cadillac, it's off to the Sauternes region to learn how the area's distinctively flavoured sweet wines are made. Then it's back to charming Bordeaux to soak in the history and beauty of this magical city.
Let's discuss this wonderful itinerary. On this voyage, you will discover the stunning architecture, beautiful vineyards, and fascinating history of southern France. Your 8-day sailing includes 7 guided tours with our knowledgeable guides, 2 overnight stays in Bordeaux, gives you plenty of time to get to know the beautiful city, which is known as Little Paris. You will also visit the charming towns of Cadillac, Libourne, Saint-Emilion, Bourg, Blaye, and Pauillac, before returning to Bordeaux once again. As you can see from the itinerary map, you will travel to the Gironde, Dordogne, and Garonne rivers. Viking longships were designed for Europe's rivers, and their smaller size allow us to dock right in the heart of each port. This is a key part of the allure of river cruising. It means you can walk off the ship right after breakfast and begin exploring each new port. This gives you more time in each destination. You will embark in Bordeaux on the Garonne. Then, you will travel south to Cadillac. By day 4, you will be on the Dordogne River to call on Libourne and Saint-Emilion. You will move north up the Gironde to Bourg, Blaye, and Pauillac. Your sailing returns then in Bordeaux. If you have traveled with Viking before, you know what it means to travel the Viking way. We take you closer to the history, culture, and daily life of your destinations. Our river shore excursions are offered for half or a whole day, and they will keep you busy exploring and learning about your destinations. A total of 7 excursions are available on this voyage. In Bordeaux, you can accompany a Viking chef on a shopping excursion. This is a chance to experience France's unique market culture, one of my personal favorite. This is local life for you, highlighting real everyday life. As a matter of fact, I used to go to the market on a daily basis. Working World offers a glimpse of the world at work, including local industries, arts and crafts. You will better understand local people. You can learn the intricate art of truffle hunting from a local farmer and his hound and take a stroll around Saint-Emilion. Or you can travel to the Atlantic coast and the elegant resort town of Arcachon to experience the daily life of an oyster farmer. One of my favorite, learn how Bordeaux wine barrels are made. Viking has arranged exclusive entry for our guests to discover local cultural treasures. These are experiences that are not open to the general public. You will not find them with any other travel company. With Viking, you can take a walk through the historic town of Blaye and learn the history of cognac during a privileged access visit to the distillery. In Bordeaux, you can admire the beauty of a classical maison bourgeois or elegant home while sharing a glass of wine with its owner. If you prefer to arrive early and experience more of France prior to your sailing, we have a pre-extension package, 3 nights in the Loire Valley. This is a chance for you to explore more chateaux in the region. It is on the way from Paris to Bordeaux, so it would really be a shame to miss this region. When is the best time to go? Viking offers Châteaux Rivers and Wine from March to November. In general, Bordeaux enjoys a Mediterranean tempered climate. It can still be somewhat chilly in March, but you will be ahead of the busy summer season. The high travel season is June to August, and the best summer weather is in August. You might plan around events in Bordeaux. For example, there is an international rowing regatta in May, and there is a wine festival in June. I believe there is a jazz festival in June and in November as well. Also, it's worth noting that Châteaux Rivers and Wine is definitely an itinerary that you should do twice. Once in the spring or the summer, and then again during the holiday season. It's much colder time of the year, but the holiday festivities are worth it, in my opinion. Let's start sailing. Welcome to Bordeaux, where your voyage begins. Some of you will join us after the Loire Valley pre-extension stay. Others will arrive in France today. If you have arranged air through Viking, we will transfer you from the airport to the awaiting river longship. After boarding your ship, you can settle into your stateroom. This evening, you might join a walking tour to see Bordeaux at night. I particularly like the Place de la Bourse and the reflecting pool. You can see in this picture the light reflecting. It's very pretty. On day 3, you will explore Cadillac, a very unique town. You can see the fortifications at Cadillac in this image. We will take a nice leisurely walk, which includes a visit to the castle, Château Ducal de Cadillac, which is an outstanding example of French-style architecture. Then, cross the river, we will stop in Sauternes, where you will learn more about the area's sweet white wines. But let's take a look at these wines in a bit more details.
Say Bordeaux, and most people think of its renowned red wines. But there's another wine here that's produced in an entirely different way, the wines of Sauternes.
What is it in the process of making Sauternes wine that makes it sweet?
It's a mold called botrytis. This mold is able to attack the normal healthy fruit, and it's only on the skins, and it's never inside the berry itself. With that transformation, then the skin is permeable, and with the good sunshine on the afternoon, then the water is evaporating from the pulp, and it concentrates, and it makes it so sweet inside that the mold cannot grow anymore because it's too sweet, too much osmotic pressure, and it's like on honey, nothing can grow, the same idea.
So is the mold attacks naturally, or you make it happen?
And that's the reason why Sauternes is a good region for sweet wine is it attacks naturally. When everything goes right, it starts mid-late September, when the berry is naturally sweet already.
So the grape has now been attacked by the mold?
Yes, and actually the berry is alive, and the berry trying to defend, to react to this invasion. And the result of this fight is a big increase. We could say it's not increase, it's an amplification of the quantity of potential aroma in the grapes. At the end of the war, the shrunk berry is 100 times richer in aroma than a regular berry of the same grape.
And by this time it looks like a rotten raisin or something,
Yes,
does it?
yes, it's good. It looked like more, I would say, a raisin with rather bluish, brownish bluish color, rather than the regular brown color of the raisin.
So should we talk a bit about the bottle? Because the bottle is always white and clear, right?
It's the way to make the difference most of the time. It's not 100%, but most of the time the Sauternes bottle is an extra white bottle. It means it's really transparent.
Yes.
It has no greenish effect. It's really completely white.
And is that to show off this beautiful golden color?
Yes, it's to show the genuine color. It's the same quality of a glass used for expensive cognacs.
Yeah,
so
okay.
The same
Probably
idea.
for the same reason, right?
For the same reason. So it's to show something precious. This wine ages very well. A good Sauternes is 50 years, no problem. And it's really a wine we do enjoy in France on special occasion with a small group of very dear friends or close member of your family, because this feeling of something precious goes with the quality and the depth of the connection, the relation you have with people.
And to call it a dessert wine, because I know you drink it also with foie gras.
Yes, a dessert wine. It comes from actually the British culture, where British people drink a lot of wine and they still want to drink for dessert. What we do in France is we have it as an aperitif, because before anything,
before the meal starts.
Because it's very convenient, because it has a very strong relaxing effect, like a glass of whiskey, but not so much alcohol. And by the way, it will calm down your appetite, because you will have a lot of sugar that will go straight to your blood and send a strong message to your body that you shouldn't rush too much on crackers and aperitif stuff before the meal is really actually starting. But you really have to taste the wine. You have a very strong flavor of candied grapefruit, passion fruit, pineapple, that will stay on your palate, on your tongue forever. Because this wine is not only sweet, but very concentrated, very intense in flavor. It's a lot of information, those intense flavor. You have a lot of concentration, so it kind of distracts your brain for any other information.
It seemed to entertain the whole palate when I took my sip now.
So, in order to choose a proper food, you have to choose some food that is very strong in flavor at all. Otherwise, it will disappear with this so intense wines. You can be audacious in your choice of food and wine matching with food that would destroy other wines because they are too intense. So strong seafood, spicy food,
Curries,
for example, Thai food, Sichuanese
I would
food.
never ever have
It's
thought
really
to combine those.
the new fashion to enjoy those wines.
Sauternes is delightful, and you really should give it a try as you explore Bordeaux's many wine secrets.
Sauternes is a favorite in my family on special occasions. We are now in Libourne. This is a truly charming town, located where the Dordogne and Isle rivers meet. On a walking tour, you will see remnants of the city fortification walls. Of course, it is the wine country, and you can easily access the wine-growing town of Saint-Émilion. It is the first vineyard region declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Food and wine lovers will not want to miss our Châteaux visit. You will be treated to a 3-course lunch with a wine tasting. You will learn about the grape varieties grown here, a true gem. Let's take a moment to learn more about the wines of the region.
Bordeaux consistently delivers some of the world's best red and white wines, with the reds being perennial favourites. Here, the most prestigious wines take years of aging to be ready, and younger wines must be handled with care.
We have opened a bottle of the vintage 2007, which is still a little young for Margaux, for Médoc, Grand Cru Classé. We usually advise you to wait 10 years before you open a bottle. So for those young wines, we would recommend you to decant. And ideally for a young wine, we would use a decanter which has a very flat base. So there will be a maximum of surface of wine in contact with the oxygen.
I thought that you only decanted really old wines.
Yes, you would decant old wines, but then you would use a different shape decanter, a high one, and you would decant just 15 or 20 minutes before serving.
For the old ones?
Yes. Young wine you would want to oxygenate. So you take this flat base and let's say 2 or 3 hours before service, you would open the bottle and pour it very gently, very slowly, yes, in the decanter. You see the wine is flowing all around the glass and that gives the maximum oxygenation because there's a large surface of wine in contact with the air.
With air. So we've now let it oxygenate.
Yes.
Do we shake it or we just let it stand?
No, I think it's better we do that in the glass. You see here it's a universal size glass. It could be used for white or red, but there's this little break here, so there is again a maximum of surface of wine in contact with the air.
And it's always sort of a tulip-shaped top, right? It's never an open top to the wine glasses. Because I'm from Norway and I have some fine old wine glasses from my grandmother and they sort of bend outwards, but that's wrong, I understand.
It's better if you really want to enjoy the flavors to have a neck which is not as large as the oxygenation, because then all the flavors will be in the glass.
Right.
And usually what we do is we serve on this level, so you have approximately 1/3 of the glass which is filled with the wine and 2/3 where you have the flavors develop. When you have a first smell on the glass, you have the most volatile flavors which come out. And when it's a young wine, it's usually flavors which are coming from the aging with the oak. So there could be interesting flavors, but I think they would be even more interesting with a little oxygenation. So when you swirl the wine like that, there is an invisible fog forming above the wine. And then when you smell, the less volatile flavors will be onto this little fog and you'll be able to smell them better.
On the second one?
Yes, so for this wine, for example, the first smell was a little oaky, a little spicy. It smelled a bit like vanilla, but as we gave it a little oxygenation, it has gotten a little fruitier. And so it's like you're projecting the wine a few years later.
And the other thing you look for is what you call the legs on the side of the glass?
Well, you want to look for many different things that will give you indications as to the age of the wine, its structure, its richness, and maybe its origin if it's a blind tasting. So the first examination is the visual examination, where you look at the color, so the reflection. So you want a source of light. For example, here we have the table, and you see it's a very dark color, which is very common in Bordeaux, where we use dominant Cabernet Sauvignon in the area of Médoc. So Cabernet is very dense. Then we look at the little rim, which forms on the outside of the disc when you incline slightly the glass. And this little rim here, you see, it's not very thick, it's quite thin, so it's a sign of a quite young wine.
And not too much sugar, I guess, right?
No. Well, in red wine, well, that would be the legs, giving you more information as to the structure of the wine. So you see here, the legs take quite a long time to form. It's an indication that the wine was aged with a quite high proportion of new oak. If it had been aged in stainless steel, probably the legs would fall much quicker. But in reality, I don't think you need to go too far away in the analyze when you're tasting, because for some people they will lose part of the pleasure. The most important is to see if you like the wine, and that's why it's very important to drink it in good conditions. And strong wines like those of Médoc or Saint-Émilion, they're not very easy to taste just like this, because when we make them, we think of how they're going to balance with the food. So it's very important also to have a little knowledge about the wine and food pairings if you really want to appreciate the wine the best.
Okay, so that's our red wine. And then you also produce white wines
wine,
here.
yes.
And for that we have a different glass.
Yes, we usually want a smaller glass for the white. This shape of glass is for fruity wines. So the shape was elaborated so the fruitiness would be enhanced. So just like for the other wines, tasting usually goes 3 steps with the visual examination, olfactive examination and gustatory examination. So we could of course have a first look at the color, and when you look through the light you see it's a quite light yellow with some green shades. We'll get a little more gold as the wine ages, but not at this point. Then again we could look at the way the tears, the legs forms on the glass. Here you see they may take a very long time before they start coming down.
A leg yet.
Yeah, that's because the legs have to do with the alcohol and the glycerol, but the way they fall down also has to do with the type of aging. And this white was aged in new oak, and 30% of new oak for about 8 months. And the aging in the oak makes the wines a little richer, and that's why also the legs take much longer to form. This is a blend of Sauvignon and Semillon, which are the most important varieties which we use for white wines in Bordeaux. And typical flavors from the Sauvignon is citruses. So you have a bit of lemon, yellow lemon, a bit of grapefruit. But we also use here 40% of Semillon, which gives a bit more exotic flavors. I personally also have a little pineapple on this wine, and it will become even more important as the wine ages.
Whether you're a wine connoisseur or delving into the topic for the first time, Bordeaux is a destination well worth exploring.
I hope you have a chance to participate in at least one onshore wine tasting during your voyage. It is a wonderful learning experience. Take some time for a light walking tour in Saint-Émilion. The hillside medieval village is perched on a limestone plateau overlooking vineyards. This village is filled with history that dates back to the 8th century. If you are a truffle lover, we offer a visit to the Périgord region. Here you will find a special delicacy, the black truffle. You will hunt for them with our local farmer and his dog. Later, you will enjoy lunch and taste a truffle for yourself. Let's take a closer look at truffle hunting.
Hidden within these woods is a rare treasure. Nestled in the warm forest floor. Prized by many, but found by few. I'm speaking of truffles, and this is the hunter.
Cherche, Farah, cherche. Elle est où là? Cherche.
For centuries, they've scoured the woodlands for the elusive truffle, the highly fragrant subterranean fungus loved by chefs around the world. This used to be the job of pigs, but they also like to eat the truffles, so dogs have taken their place.
Et est-ce que c'est difficile de dresser un chien pour chercher les truffes?
Vous allez chez un photographe, vous demandez 2 boîtes de pellicule photo.
I'm asking if it's difficult to train your dog to find truffles. He says no. Go to your photographer and see if he has old cans that stored film.
Percez les boîtes de pellicule.
Pierce the film box.
Vous mettez du coton.
Put cotton wool inside.
De l'huile truffée.
A little bit of truffle oil on the cotton.
Avec vous avez un petit panier.
Put them in a little basket like this.
Vous avez des récompenses.
Have treats.
Et vous allez jeter la boîte de pellicule photo.
And every time you throw the toy away, you tell your dog to find the truffle.
Chaque fois qu'il a pris,
every time that he takes the film can, you take it from him and you give him a treat.
Deuxième semaine, coton, oil, vous fermez et vous allez le mettre sous le tapis. Vous allez jouer à cache-cache.
So the second week you're playing hide and seek. You're going to refresh those containers, those film containers, with new cotton wool, new truffle oil, and you're going to hide them in your house somewhere.
Et chaque fois qu'il trouve, vous payez. C'est bien mon bébé, t'es un bon chien, toujours avec les trucs.
Same procedure. You ask her to find the box. When she finds it, you give him a treat. Then
vous allez dehors.
You go outside.
Sans le chien.
Without the dogs.
En cachette, vous creusez
And you hide
et vous
these
mettez dans la terre
little
la
boxes
boîte film.
in the ground.
Et vous allez avec le chien 2 jours après. Comme ça, la terre, elle a
Okay.
pris l'odeur de truffes.
It takes 2 days or so to infuse the soil around the cans with this truffle oil. So after 2 days of these being buried, you go back out.
Vous prenez le panier,
Of course, you take a little basket.
vous l'excitez,
You excite your dog a little
il
bit.
voit les
You
récompenses.
show the treats.
Vous allez à côté de ça, là où vous savez que vous avez caché la boîte
You
de
go
pellicule.
close to where you know you've hidden these little
Vous
boxes.
l'excitez. Si le chien, il marque, vous le prenez dans les bras. Beaucoup de récompenses, c'est très bien. Vous avez gagné.
If then, of course, the dog starts digging in that area, you give him lots of compliments and treats, and that's it, you've done it. From then on, he can find truffles.
I've been teaching my dog Finse to truffle hunt too, carrying on this old European tradition. It's fun whether you find a truffle or not.
I happen to love truffles. They have a nutty, earthy flavor. I like them on pasta or on rice, on anything really. Sailing on, you will wake up in Bourg. It is one of France's official historic villages. Bourg is located where the Garonne and the Dordogne rivers meet. From here, you can take an excursion to Cognac. We have a privileged access tour called A Taste of Cognac. You will learn more about this type of brandy at a historical distillery. But the real treat that is awaiting for you is that you will have a chance to blend your own cognac. And yes, you can even take home a bottle of your own blend. This afternoon will be spent in the city of Blaye. It is known for its 17th century citadel set on a rock beside the Gironde River. Let's watch a short video of Blaye.
On the banks of France's Gironde River stands a powerful fortress, designed to stop invaders from entering the region.
This great citadel in Blaye was commissioned by Louis XIV in the 17th century. He built it to protect Bordeaux from the British.
The king had good reason to look warily at England. After all, the British once dominated this prosperous region, beginning in the 12th century when Englishmen and future King Henry II married Eleanor of Aquitaine. England then controlled Aquitaine until the end of the 100 Years' War. While both empires have long since collapsed, Blaye remains. The fortress was the brainchild of renowned military engineer Sébastien Vauban, and he often referred to Blaye as his favourite of the more than 300 fortifications he constructed during his career. Exploring this vast fortress is fascinating, the towering walls providing evidence of the region's turbulent past. But perhaps what's most surprising is what lies at the top of the fortress, where the citadel opens to reveal a quintessentially French village, rich in textures and character. Blaye has been a silent witness to the many changes that have taken place in the Bordeaux region, and really shouldn't be missed.
I would like to tell you more about what lies inside the citadel. Inside, you can admire the remnant of an ancient Gothic chateau. The citadel of Blaye and the nearby forts of Patay and Médoc are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Traveling on, you will call on Pauillac on day 6. This is Médoc and Margaux wine country. You will be treated to a special dinner at Châteaux. This is one of the region's most respected chateaux. You will learn more about Margaux's Merlot and Cabernet Franc. This area is known for full-flavored Margaux wines. Margaux is the smallest of the 4 Médoc villages. Here is a typical wine label. By law, French wine labels must provide certain information. While American wine labels emphasize the grape varietals, French labels focus on provenance. This puts the focus on the place of origin that gives the wine its unique characteristics. I would like to point out a few things about this label. At the top, you will see the name of the winery. In this case, the name of the estate is Châteaux Margaux. Below, you see Grand Vin. This translates simply as great wine. An estate may use it to indicate the best wine it produces. Vintage year 1978 is the harvest year when the wine was made. It is not necessarily when it was bottled. Many wines are aged before they are bottled. Then you see Premier Grand Cru classé. Cru means growth and distinguishes a vineyard of the highest tier. Grand Cru is generally the highest, followed by Premier Cru. Lastly, Appellation Margaux Contrôlée, which indicates that the wine came from the specific Margaux region. Each appellation has its own requirement regarding the type of grapes, growing conditions, and minimum quality. We then return to Bordeaux. You will have plenty of time here. Your ship will be docked overnight. If you choose, you can travel to the Atlantic coast. In the Atlantic coast, you will visit Arcachon and experience the daily life of an oyster farmer. You will take a vessel into open water to learn more about farming technique. This is followed by a meal of fresh seafood. You can also find oysters in Bordeaux at the covered market of Le Marché des Capucins. This is a shopping excursion we offer with a Viking chef. This busy central market is a local favorite, and it's definitely my favorite. Every time I am in Bordeaux, I always make a trip at the Marché. Another option, if you'd like to learn more about the wines in Bordeaux, here is a short video for you.
Bordeaux has long been home to iconic names like Médoc, Pomerol, Saint-Emilion, Pauillac, Margaux, Sauternes, and Cognac, all of them located within a short distance of each other. Thanks to unique natural elements, including rivers, elevation changes, and a wide range of soils, winemaking has thrived here, resulting in remarkable red wines, white wines, sweet wines, and other aperitifs and digestives. Bordeaux is usually thought of in terms of left bank and right bank, referring to their location along the Gironde River. The left bank is home to the Médoc region, which at one time was swampy marshland. This is red wine country, where tasty Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot grapes enhance wines from Pauillac, Saint-Julien, and Margaux. The vineyards are influenced by the warm waters of the Gironde estuary, southeasterly exposure, and soil that is a mix of soft clay and gravel. It's a rare combination that has delivered Bordeaux's most desired wines. Still on the left bank, but to the south, is the Grave region. Its red wines were sought after long before Médoc existed, and it's said that US President Thomas Jefferson had a special fondness for wine from one of the chateaux here. The Grave region is also home to wonderful white wines, and the much-loved Sauternes and Barsac wines. These intensely sweet white wines are the end result of a phenomenon known as noble rot. It impacts the grapes frequently here, dehydrating them inside the skin, which increases the concentration of sugars. The three main grapes of this area are Sémillon, Sauvignon Blanc, and Muscatel. Between the Garonne and Dordogne rivers is Entre deux mers, which means between two seas. This productive area is the source for the majority of Bordeaux's mainstream red wines. The right bank has its own treasures, like the Libournais region also bordering the Dordogne River. It was first cultivated by the Romans and is home to the highly regarded Pomerol wines. The grapes here are a mix of Merlot and Cabernet Franc, and the soil is influenced by varying degrees of gravel and sand. Just next door is Saint-Emilion, named for the quaint village the vineyards surround. The other notable region includes Bourg and Blaye, situated where the Garonne and Dordogne rivers meet. It's one of the oldest wine-producing areas of Bordeaux. Merlot is the principal grape here, followed by Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc and Malbec. Sauvignon Blanc grapes are also grown here for use in delightful sparkling wines. While another white grape, Ugni Blanc, is transformed into cognac. Bordeaux is a diverse, beautiful region that I find fascinating. A mix of intriguing historical treasures and insights into the art of wine and joie de vivre. Whether you're a wine connoisseur or delving into the topic for the first time, Bordeaux is a destination well worth exploring.
We also offer a Bordeaux masterclass with a visit to the Wine and Trade Museum, Musée du Vin et du Négoce. Learn the importance of decanting the wine, assessing the color, smelling, and testing. You will sample white wines and red wines. You will have the chance to visit the wine barrel maker La Nadalier. You will tour the factory and see how wood slats are shaped into casks to age fine Bordeaux wines. You will also visit Châteaux Paloumet and Châteaux Léoville-Poiffert. Wine and artisanal cheese tasting are included. After breakfast on board on your final morning in Bordeaux, most of you will disembark and proceed to the airport for your return flight home. On your drive, take one last look at Bordeaux. On your drive, you will see the famous Pont de Pierre. Or perhaps, if you've decided to explore more with Viking, we have a 3-night stay in Paris, my hometown. You will never run out of things to see and do in Paris. And there is no better way to see the City of Light than with Viking. Thank you for joining me today on Viking.TV. This concludes our presentation. Now it's time for your question.
Hello, Joost. Good evening from the Viking sky.
Hey, Alex.
Please join us for some questions. Heather?
Thank you, Alexandra. Our first question tonight comes from Val in Philadelphia. And he says, when are the cruises going to travel in 2022? So can you tell us the dates?
The exact dates you'd really have to call in, but it's the entire season is planned that way. And it starts, I want to say, early in April, and then it runs until early November, maybe mid-October.
Thank you. Boyd in Dallas says, we are scheduled to take this cruise beginning 21st of September. What will the weather be like then?
Good. In that part of France, it's going to be fine. You may have a tad of rain, but overall, it's not going to be too hot. It never really gets that hot in and around Bordeaux. Maybe in July and in August, but in September, that should be real pleasant.
Yeah, it's a very temperate climate, Mediterranean temperate climate in Bordeaux. So will have definitely a good time in September.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Roy in the United States, and he says, is it possible to visit Michael de Montaigne's chateau where he wrote his timeless essays?
You would have to do that on your own because we don't go there, and it's a part of the country that's actually a lot larger than you think it is, and so it's not all that easy to travel in just because of distances, and you have a lot of tiny little towns. You know, it's part of the charm of this itinerary that you go to these little places. Bordeaux is really the big city, and then for the rest, it's vineyard after vineyard after vineyard in these little towns. I don't know if that is. You can always, when you're on board, ask, because it's relatively easy to rent a car in Bordeaux, but it's going to be an effort.
Thank you, Joost. Sally in the United States says, are there opportunities to do some shopping in some of these quaint towns?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Bordeaux is good, and so is Saint-Emilion. And Libourne is fun because there Libourne is not really a touristy town, so you can get the shops there. You have your butchers, and you have the market, and you have really like little French shops. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity.
Fantastic, thank you. Nell in Reno in the United States says, when I did this cruise a few years ago, we noticed these big fishing nets along the river. I'm sure we did ask about them at the time, but I now can't remember. What type of fish did they catch?
There's all kinds of fish in that river because, and it depends a little bit on where you see the nets. If you see them downstream from Bordeaux, you can already get you can get fish that basically move upriver quite a bit because you're in tidal area. And eel is something that it's actually a delicacy in Bordeaux. And there is another fish, lamprey is also eaten. And lamprey you have as an invasive species in the Great Lakes. It's a really disgusting looking fish, but it's quite good to eat. And then there's sturgeon also. So
there is the.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There is the oyster farms in Arcachon, next to Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's good for seafood.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you both. John in the United States says, where would you fly to from the USA when you take the Bordeaux cruise?
Paris and then Bordeaux.
Thank you. Susan in the United States says, I am a wine lover, but my husband is not. Are there any opportunities for cider or Calvados tastings on board or on shore?
Yes. Of course, Calvados is in the north. You should really, well, here's what you need to do. So you figure out the dates, and then you first go on the Seine, and your husband can have Calvados and cider, because that's Calvados and cider country. And then you go back to Paris, and then you take the extension through the Loire Valley, and then you go to Bordeaux to drink wine. So, but the answer is, you can get, this is the beauty of, Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, but the beauty of France when it comes to food and drink is every region has its own specialties. And then in every region, you can get everything from everywhere else in France. It's just a little bit more expensive. But I'll give you an example. I live in Basel in Switzerland, and right across the border is Saint Louis. And I can go to Saint Louis, and it's 15 minutes away from where I live, but I'm in France, and I can get oysters that were still in the water early in the morning in Brittany, because that's how it works in France. Everything comes together in Paris, in Le Rungis, and then from there it's spread out all over the country. So you can have Calvados and cidre wherever you are in France. Your husband will be fine.
Wonderful, thank you, Joost. A question from Eric in the United States, and he says, are ATMs readily available during the tour to acquire euros?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Our next question comes from John in Calgary in Canada, and he says, if one was going to do a back-to-back cruise with Bordeaux, which other river cruise would you recommend?
Back to back, we just talked about it. I think
yes, do the Seine. Do the Seine first. Yes. Yeah, do the Seine first. Paris and the heart of Normandy, and like you say, you take the Loire Valley, extension, and then go to Bordeaux. It's perfect.
Thank you. Sandra in Macon says, are you able to purchase truffles to bring home with you?
Depends on the
You
season.
can purchase them and eat. I don't know. Can you import them back in the US, Joost? Do you know that? I don't know.
Well, a truffle is a mushroom. It's a fresh mushroom in a sense. So
Can you bring the mushroom?
no, it's fresh fruit. It's fresh fruits and veggies
Yeah.
you cannot normally bring into the country. But you could have you can do it in honey and and in oil. Most people get truffle oil. Truffle
That's
oil,
true.
truffle
And
honey,
or
all kinds of things with
truffle
truffle.
salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Theodore in Delaplane says, it looks like there are so many great wines to try. In your opinion, which are the ones that we absolutely must not miss?
Alex, you're French. This is you.
So the good news is on the Châteaux Rivers and Wine in Bordeaux, the wine list on board is actually very specific to the region. So all the wines that you must absolutely try are served on board. So you will be very well taken care of. That homework has been done for you.
And you can't leave. I don't think you want to leave anything out. And it depends a little bit on what you like, of course, also. But you shouldn't leave it. You should have some Sauterne. You should have wine from around Pauillac. You should have wine from Saint-Emilion. I think you shouldn't leave anything out.
Yeah. And they're all offered on board, so you'll have a really specialty designed wine list for you.
Thank you. Bailey in Michigan says, is there a chance to visit the Site de Vin?
The Cité de Vin. Yeah, it's a little bit of a trek because it's on the edge of Bordeaux, but yeah, you can. You have some. Bordeaux is one of the places where you have some time to stroll around on your own, and it's certainly something that you can do. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you, Joost. Carol in the United States says, are the local wines and foods such as the oysters served on board during the cruise?
Oysters from, I think for the oysters you would really have to go to Arcachon. But yeah, I mean the entire idea is that you eat and drink what is in the region. As Alex just said about the wine list.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Vicky, I think in the United States, says, how many river cruise ships are currently traveling this route?
Just one.
Thank you. And Stephanie in Mansfield says, whereabouts does the ship dock in Bordeaux? Is it within walking distance to the centre?
Yeah, our ships dock right in the heart of the city, so you will be fine, and you can walk to every city, every villages on the itinerary.
Wonderful, thank you, Alexandra. And we have a question for you. Actually, it's come in from Ted in San Diego, and he says, Alexandra, I love your accent and might just travel to France because of it. He says, was it you who also did the souffle cooking video? He says, I've made it a few times with success. Do you have a favourite French wine to go with your souffle?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I did the souffle video, and it depends if you're making a chocolate souffle or a cheese souffle. Then you want to pair with wine that goes well with whatever souffle you make.
Wonderful, thank you. And another question for you, which has come from Tammy in New York. And she says, oh my goodness, I think you are on board a ship. She says, I can't wait to be there. What is your view like right now and where are you?
Yes, I am indeed. I joined the Viking Sky for its first welcome back voyage to Iceland, and it's an outstanding trip. I am in my stateroom, and we are in the port of Sedifjord.
And how's the weather? Is it holding up?
The weather is beautiful. It's a welcome back weather for sure.
Good. Because you and I were together, just,
Yes.
So I'm in the Netherlands. You're in Iceland. And it's so great to, I'm going to shout out to Barbara and Doug and Gail and Russell and Gina and Pete, who I met on the cruise. It's so phenomenal to be, back in have these ships move again and see all the people on the ships. It's phenomenal. All the guests, everyone's happy. All of our peeps, our staff. It's phenomenal. And it has nothing to do with chateaux, rivers, and wine, but I just thought we should, make a big deal out of it. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I'm very, very happy to be with our guests on board. We're thrilled.
Good. Sorry, I lost everyone there, I think, huh?
Just for a minute, but you're back now. Thank you, Joost. We've just got a couple of nice comments here that I'll read out. So Julie in Boston says, I visited Bordeaux once 30 years ago and then recently again on your fantastic river cruise there. She says, I just want to comment on how Bordeaux has really cleaned up its city walls. It used to be a dark city and I almost couldn't recognise it when I was back again. And she says, I think it's my favourite city in France, even above Paris, and she highly recommends.
That is very nice. Thank you.
Lovely. Our next question is from Lisa in Boston, and she says, just wondering how long the truffle excursion takes. She says, I've planted truffle trees in my backyard.
That's impressive. I did not know we could plant truffle trees. I don't know exactly how long the shore excursion takes. I don't know if it's half a day or whole day, and we lost Joost, who knows all the logistic of the shore excursion, so we'll have to wait until he comes back.
Thank you, Alexandra. This is one that you might know from Terrell in Portland, and they say, I have several bottles of the 1990 Sauterne in which the wine has turned a deep pink. He says, is this a sign the wine has gone bad, or is it a natural occurrence that sometimes happens?
A deep pink?
Yes.
I'm not sure, but no, it shouldn't be turning pink. Maybe it should be turning like a dark amber color, but pink seems I don't think it should be turning pink, but there is only one way to find out, is to open it and drink it and see.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sally in Franklin says, what will the weather be like at the beginning of October?
Beginning of October, it will start to cool down, but Bordeaux is really a temperate climate, so it's fine all year round, but it will start to cool down for sure.
Wonderful, thank you. Carol in the United States says, can you tell us a bit more about the Loire Valley extension?
The Loire Valley extension starts in Paris, and it's 3 days down, all the way down to Bordeaux, and you'll have the opportunity to visit many chateaux. So there is several all the way down that you can visit, and I highly recommend it.
Wonderful, thank you. We've just got a couple more nice questions that we can, nice comments that we can read out perhaps to finish with tonight. So the first one comes from Zana, and she says, this was my first ever river cruise and I think the best. She says, we enjoyed a fabulous dinner at a winery and the tours were excellent. We also took the Loire extension, and after a short time in Paris, we visited Poitiers, Orléans and Tours. She says, Bordeaux is a fabulous city with many interesting options. Thank you for that, Sarah.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's lovely. And then Diane in the United States, she says, we took this cruise in April 2016 and had a wonderful time. Fantastic food and wine. Particularly enjoyed Saint-Emilion and a market tour in Bordeaux with the ship's chef. Lovely. We have a question now from John in Cambridge in the United Kingdom, and he says, what is the art behind you? I believe that's a question for you, Alexandra.
Oh, the art behind me is a children art. Let me see if I can move and see a little bit. It's original artwork of Hindenburg, and on all our ocean ships, we have arts that is drawn by children from various locations around the world. So you have a picture of the original location and then the interpretation, the drawing from a child.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. And I think we'll just have one more comment now to finish up tonight. So this one is from Curtis in the United States, and he just says, we too very much enjoyed and learned a lot on our 2018 Bordeaux Viking River cruise. And he says, we can't wait to travel again with Viking on the Rhine getaway in April 2022. Thank you, Curtis. So I think that's all we've got time for tonight. And I know we've had a few small technical problems, but Joost is back now to say goodbye.
Sorry.